English students see the term politically correct, they might at first think that it is a term that deals with politics. But actually the term has nothing to do with politics, unless you want to think about the politician who needs to be politically correct in his language. Here is the real meaning of politically correct. Politically correct is a term used to describe language, policies, or measures that are intended to avoid offense or disadvantage to members of particular groups in society. Politically correct focuses on using words or actions that show respect for everyone, especially those who might feel left out or treated unfairly because of their background, their appearance, or beliefs. Here are some examples of using politically correct in a sentence. The company updated its training manual to ensure all the language was politically correct and respectful to all employees. At the conference, the speaker emphasized the importance of using politically correct terms when discussing sensitive issues. Some comedians struggle with the balance between being funny and being politically correct. In today's lesson, we're first of all going to take a look at a few terms that deal with being politically correct, and then here in part 1 of this series, we'll take a look at 10 examples of how old words in English have been replaced by new words that are more politically correct. Let's first look at woke. The word woke can refer to that state of waking up from sleep. I woke up. But in this context, for our study today, woke is a term that has been around since about the year 2020 that refers to being aware of social injustices and the need to address them. Today, the term woke often refers to being alert to issues of racial and social justice and is used to denote a heightened sensitivity to what's considered politically correct. Here are 3 examples of using the term woke as it relates to being politically correct in a sentence. The new policy at her workplace is very woke, aiming to ensure equity and inclusion for all staff members. He prides himself on being woke and is always the first to speak up against any form of discrimination. The workshop aims to make participants more woke about systemic inequalities and how they can help address them. Derogatory. Derogatory describes words, phrases, or expressions that are insulting or show disrespect towards someone or something. It refers to language that diminishes the worth or dignity of a person or group. Here are some examples. He apologized for his derogatory remarks about his colleagues' presentation skills. The school's code of conduct strictly prohibits the use of derogatory language towards students or staff. After reviewing the lyrics, the radio station decided not to play the song due to its derogatory content towards certain groups. Cancel culture. Cancel culture is a term that refers to the practice of withdrawing support for public figures and companies after they have done or said something that is considered objectionable or offensive. Often organized by social media groups, a movement is started to cancel a company or person because of their use of politically incorrect language or actions. Here are some examples. The actor faced cancel culture after his controversial tweets resurfaced online, which led to him being dropped from an upcoming movie. He was canceled. Some argue that cancel culture does not allow people the opportunity to learn from their mistakes and grow. The debate about cancel culture is prevalent, with discussions about its impact on freedom of speech and societal norms. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is the right to express your opinions and ideas without fear of government censorship or punishment. It allows people to speak freely, share their thoughts, and participate in open discussions. Here are some examples. Freedom of speech is a fundamental human right protected by the constitutions of many countries, allowing everyone to voice their beliefs. During the town hall meeting, the mayor emphasized the importance of respecting everyone's freedom of speech. The journalist argued that censorship on social media platforms poses a threat to freedom of speech. To silence discontent and protests, the newly elected government did their best to limit freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom of assembly. And there's one more important thing that we should talk about when it comes to freedom of speech, and that is how it is important to understand that there are limits to the right of freedom of speech. The importance of people's immediate safety is more important than the right to freedom of speech. One common example that is often given is that freedom of speech does not give people the right to shout "fire" in a crowded theater when there is no fire. In the rush to get out of the building, people could be trampled to death. Human life is more important than freedom of speech. Let's now take a look at some examples of English words that are falling out of use in an effort to be more politically correct and sensitive to the feelings of certain people or groups. Let's take a look at the old word and then the new word that is being used today in its place. Old word, Oriental. New word, Asian. Here are some examples. My friend is studying Asian languages at university. Asian cuisine is known for its diverse flavors and spices. The museum has a collection of ancient Asian art. Old word, handicapped. New word, disabled. Disabled parking is available near the entrance. The building was renovated to improve access for disabled individuals. They provide special tools to assist disabled workers. Old word, Eskimo. New word, Inuit. The Inuit are indigenous people living in the Arctic regions. Inuit culture includes unique traditions and languages. She is studying the history of the Inuit people. Old word, Gypsy. New word, Roma. Roma communities are found throughout Europe. The Roma musician shared traditional songs at the festival. She wrote a book on the history of the Roma people. Old word, Negro. New word, black. Here are some examples. Black History Month celebrates important people and events. The conference focused on issues impacting the black community. She is a prominent leader in the black business community. Now, before we move on to the next word, there is something else we should talk about in relation to this grouping. There's another word that is very similar to Negro that is considered extremely derogatory. You probably know the word that I'm talking about. I can't say it for fear that the YouTube computers would hear that and probably ban this video completely. It's that derogatory and considered extremely offensive. Now, you might hear this word being used by black comedians when they are talking about other black people. You may hear rappers, song artists, black musicians using this word in their songs, and you might think, well, if they're using it, I might as well use it as well, but you would be wrong. When a person who is not black uses that term to refer to black people, it is considered extremely offensive. And so you must avoid that altogether as you are learning to speak English. Old word, retarded. New word, intellectually disabled. Programs for intellectually disabled adults have really improved in recent years. He volunteers at a school for intellectually disabled children. Their organization advocates for the rights of intellectually disabled people. Old word, secretary. New word, administrative assistant. She works as an administrative assistant in a law firm. The administrative assistant scheduled the meeting for tomorrow. He hired an administrative assistant to manage his appointments. Old word, stewardess. New word, flight attendant. And by the way, you will find in many cases the new word that is being used today is more gender neutral. The old words might have been specific for one gender, female or male, and the new word is used for both male and female or people who identify as some other gender. And so one new word covers all genders. And this is the case with this word. A stewardess was a word that referred to a woman who helped people while they were on a flight. Now, because there are other people that identify with some other gender working on the airplanes, the new term is simply flight attendant. And so keep that in mind as we learn some of these new terms that are replacing old terms. Often it's because of wanting to be gender neutral, to refer to people of all genders. Old word, midget. New word, little person. The conference included sessions on the rights for little people. She is an advocate for the little person community. Little people face unique challenges in society. Old word, fireman. New word, firefighter. Again, this is because of the issues of being inclusive of all genders. Fireman, with the man in the term, assumed that the person who was putting out fires would be a man. But these days, people of other genders are doing firefighting as a career. And so today we say, she is a firefighter. He is a firefighter. The firefighter rescued a cat from the tree. Firefighters are trained to handle various emergencies. She became the first female firefighter in her town. Old word, waitress. New word, server. And again, this has a lot to do with being gender neutral. Our server recommended the chef's special. He works as a server at a busy restaurant. She has been a server there for 3 years. Well, that's it for this lesson. Be sure to join us for part 2 and 3 and probably 4 and 5 for more politically correct terms. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for today.